Brilliant. We've hit the record button. Fantastic. So my name is Adele Stickland. I would absolutely love it if you connected with me on LinkedIn. I have added my details into the chat box, and at the end of the presentation, I will be delighted to share some of the things that we've talked about today. So this Wellbeing Week in the Law, how exciting. We've been doing lots of work through the week, and I just wanted to say a massive thank you to Hannah, who did the Authentic and Real Self. It was really resonated with me, and Julie's Business Cost of Menopause was absolutely fascinating. We've got Gemma tomorrow, really looking forward to that, and she's going to talk about the importance of visibility in our career progression. So that sounds really good. We have 3 key techniques to bounce back from stress. And I know that sounds probably a little bit overwhelming. It's not meant to be. It's my job as a trainer to make this sound a lot easier. And I want you to feel more empowered when you come away from here. I know it sounds a little complicated that I'm going to make you all resilient by the end of this half-an-hour session. Might sound a little bit too good to be true. But this work is all about your continual professional development. And that means looking after yourself, because your professional development will improve when you take yourself and your priority is yourself. So cameras, how you want them, audio off if you don't mind, close the emails, try and close the work down for just half an hour, and let's pay full attention so we can get those insights and get those awareness levels up. What number are you right now? Have a little look, maybe put it in the chat box. Let me know how you're feeling. This is one of the first things that we do when we work together as a group. I like to find out where you are right now. What are your stress levels like? You can write that down, you can put it in the chat box, but explain the number that you're at and take a moment to really reflect on how you're feeling. So I can't see the chat box too well at the moment. Oh, we have got some coming in. Yay, thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate it. I'm going to keep it anonymous. You can see what's going on, but it's good that we've all recognised a little about how we're feeling. So I'm Adele Stickland. I am a resilience trainer. Now, what I wanted to say is these are some of the highlights. In full, this is the blurb on me, but in full disclosure, we're asking our leaders in the workplace to be more honest. These are the highlights. These are the good bits. These are the best photographs that come to the front. So I'm a #1 international bestseller. My book has gone to #1 in both the UK and Australia, and it's beaten Michael Mosley for a week. So excited about that. And I am a wellbeing retreat host. I take these retreats to Greece, over Europe. I went last year. I'm hoping to go again this year. And I've been doing this a long, long time, over 20 years. But this shows the highlights. It doesn't show the real me. In terms of authenticity, as Hannah was talking about, it doesn't show the burnout that I've suffered in my life. The first time in my 20s, it was very, very obvious what the burnout looked like. I couldn't cope with a phone call and a letter ending on my desk. A letter and a phone call at the same time, and I burnt out. I couldn't cope. During COVID, the burnout has looked very different. Burnout during COVID looks more like presenteeism. Presenteeism is that inability to switch off. We're constantly going over what's happening at work. So in full disclosure, whilst these are the highlights, there is a background story, as there is to everyone. I burnt out from a corporate career, and I have learned resilience in order to overcome those issues. And I wanted to explain that resilience is a skill that we can learn. So today's conversation, I want to briefly talk to you about the costs of stress, The costs of stress to your organization, to your firm, but also to you. If we don't take stress and resilience as part of our continual professional development, then it's going to make it a bigger issue. So the other thing is I want to increase your resilience, your self-confidence, and create work-life boundaries so that you can really pull back from your heavy stress and your workloads. So I have a poll that I would like to, I'd like you to have a little go at. Which statement best describes your daily life? So if you could just spend a few moments, thank you so much, it's all coming out. It's a crazy busy and a bit of a blur, busy and productive, but manageable, dull, empty, unfulfilling. I'm really struggling. This is anonymous. I'm going to look at the results, but it is anonymous. So I'm going to close the results in 3, 2, 1. So 43% have said that it's all a bit of a crazy blur. Fine. And 38% are saying it's busy and productive, but manageable. That's fantastic. I don't know how to share the results, but I will do that a little bit later on. I might just take a screenshot because they are interesting and they do show us what's going on in our lives. So one of the reasons why life is so busy and stressful at the moment is because of the Kubler-Ross change curve. You might have seen it in other situations. Maybe you've seen it in terms of work environment, but it's also primarily the grief curve. And that's what we've been through. We've all had to grieve a change in circumstances. We've all had to change what's happened for us, whether we are changing our working life, our private life, things have changed, and we are going in and out of the Kubler-Ross curve all the time, which is why this is making this whole time so stressful. So what is the cost of stress in the workplace? I have produced this white paper. I'm very, very happy to send it to you, and it gives you the details of how affected everything is by our stress. So HSBC, Jonathan Frostwick, 45-year-old with 3 kids, he has pictures all over LinkedIn over the last 2 or 3 months, and he was having a heart attack at his desk, and the words that were going through his mind were, how inconvenient. I have to secure funding. I've got a business meeting tomorrow. I hope my wife doesn't see me like this. So 51% of managers are admitting to burnout. And 60% of managers are not able to coordinate their work and their business life and their day. So some of the work that's happening is just being pushed onto the sidelines because we are suffering from burnout. And in COVID, that's coming as presenteeism. But the statistics are now, but the lawyers' statistics for 2019 were much higher than that. And that was before COVID. So they were coming up with results like 48%, the Law Society was saying, that suffered from mental health, but less than 20% were reporting it. 94% of lawyers who were asked these questions said that they were stressed at work. 66% said that they were being disrupted at sleep. So, and 77%, sorry to throw these figures at you, but they are interesting, agreed that their employer could do more. So the wider issue of stress is the cost to replace you. You've been trained, you've put a lot of effort into your business, into your firm. The biggest cost is replacing you, but the bigger cost of that is presenteeism, when you're turning up from work, when you're not really there because we haven't rested properly. And this is 2 to 3 times higher than just not turning up to work. So it's considerable. Stress leads to burnout. So I have another poll that I'd like to launch. Have you ever experienced any or all of these on a regular basis? Repetitive thoughts, worrying about a lot of things, going over the same issue, irritable with friends and colleagues. Has it affected your sleep? Are you getting these rushes of anger? So as those results come in, thank you so much. We've got varied results. That's brilliant. I'm going to close the results in 3, 2, 1. And the biggest one by far, 85%, is worrying about a lot of things. So being brooders is something that's a term that's used, and it happens a lot to a certain demographic, females, and men tend to be more of bottlers. They tend to put things down. So looking at the demographics today, I would say that worrying about a lot of things is par for the course. I think that's one of the reasons that we've seen that. And the other one is going over and same issue. Yeah. Okay. So we're recognizing that it is an issue. The adrenal gland, when we start to burn out for a long time, things like hard getting up in the morning, brain fog, hard to focus, constantly solving problems in our head, and this really low tolerance to stress. Now, I've put something together to help organizations. It's the 6 core levels of organizational resilience. And it comes under 3 levels. We look at organizational resilience, we look at team resilience, which is interpersonal, to make sure that you get on with your colleagues, and your personal resilience, intrapersonal. And I've done a beautiful flower to help illustrate this point. And I don't want to talk about it too much today, because today the focus is on you. But what I will mention is that we all have a choice. We have been overwhelmed with well-being webinars. We know what we should be doing. And the real work is around behavioural change. So it's not so much about telling, it's the more about doing. So making sure that we have a choice, that we're aware of the mental resilience techniques, but then we have a choice whether we implement them or not. So tools for your resilience. Personal resilience is taking the time to know yourself. It's all about self-awareness. Then creating a powerful response in the way that comes from you, your vision, your beliefs, your systems. So I believe that the work-life balance is a myth. It's work-life integration. It's making the choice that your working life and will enhance your career if you're looking after yourself. Your self-care is as important as your working life, and these are integrated. One is affected by the other. If you're compassionate to yourself and you build this as a resilience skill, and you've got a supporting network to help you, then you are going to be more effective at work. You're going to be more productive at work. But the problem that we have is that we separate these 2 issues. One issue is work, another issue is our personal life. If we integrate them and we know that both are as important, then we can make fundamental changes. But it all depends on your belief system. Your belief system around work and life. What do you think work is all about? Work is the be all and end all. Well, that's a belief system that's going to make our self-care suffer. So looking at your beliefs, analysing your beliefs is going to help. So what do you use? I haven't got the poll ready. What do you use as a self-care toolkit? Have you never given it another thought? I don't have a self-care toolkit. Or it's pretty bad, but 2 other demands come in. It's an important part of my life. Well said. Good answer. So 50% are coming up at the moment to say that it's an important part of my life. That is fantastic. That's really, really good news. We're changing as it goes through. I'm going to close the poll. 3, 2, 1. Closing the poll, and 35% have said that it's an important part of my life, but others have said it's terrible because I have too many demands. It's not uncommon, but life is on repeat. We're going to keep repeating the lessons in life. We're going to follow the same obstacles in life if we don't unhook from some of our belief systems. So some of the belief systems that we carry around, like someone else is more successful. Why wasn't it me? Why didn't I get that promotion? Why aren't I good enough? If I'm working full time, the kids are going to resent me. I'm missing out. I'm not doing what I was supposed to be doing in life. If you're performing a difficult task, what are the beliefs that you have around that? Why am I taking so long? Why can't I do this quicker? Why aren't I bright enough? Or something that's negative feedback that just keeps going on, that whole loop is affecting your mental, emotional resilience. So how do we stop? How do we stop this emotional chatter? Well, we live in a society that's very quick fix. We find it easy to start something, but we lose faith quite quickly. We defer to making things simple rather than deferring gratification. If we're living for the weekend, what's that saying? So we're celebrating life for 2 days of our life, not the whole 5 days. And that comes back to work-life integration. So if we can make sure that we change our beliefs, change our thoughts, or recognize them and then change them, and then move on to something else, moving on to things that we enjoy, that are going to encourage enthusiasm, that are going to make us feel good, like going out for a walk at lunchtime makes us feel good. It gives us a dopamine hit. It gives us that little release of neurotransmitter, that little hormone that's going to make us feel good. If we can build upon that, we will evolve. Your brain will celebrate and you will do more of it. Now, your resilience tools are mindfulness, being aware of your emotions, nourishment, and exercising. But the real technique is thinking about what you actually want to achieve and taking that into pausing for a moment. So when you hear the phrase, I haven't got time to be mindful, I haven't got time to look after myself in terms of my nourishment, I haven't got time for exercise, I haven't got time to be social, I'm too busy. So the tools are there, but the technique is looking at your emotional agility. What are you saying to yourself? What are your visions, your values in life that you are hiding, that you're not listening to, that you're not paying attention to? So the technique is to delay. Think about it. When you hear yourself say that, I haven't got time. Okay, just take a moment, delay. What is your belief around that? What is your limiting belief about that? Distract yourself for a moment. Okay, walk away, maybe go and have a glass of water and then come back and then decide. So that's the technique. Delay, distract, decide. We use it all the time. We use it all the time for thinking about what we're going to eat. Is this going to nourish me or is this going to punish me? We do it all the time in terms of work. Is this conversation going to upset me or is it going to give me growth and embolden me? This is what resilience is all about. It's a skill that we can learn, and it basically comes down to emotional intelligence. So we have 2 parts of the brain, 3 parts. So we've got the old reptilian part of the brain, the limbic part of the brain, and it's where the emotions come from. Haven't got time, too stressed. We know, I know. But you've also got the prefrontal cortex, the front of the brain, the thing that makes us human. And this is the part of the brain that will help you to stop and decide. And we have to give the brain time to go into, away from the emotional part, away from the limbic part, and into the prefrontal cortex. And that is the whole basis of emotional intelligence, is bringing those 2 parts of the brain together, the emotional part with the cognitive part, the neocortex. So let's look at the beliefs. There is a belief that we all have unconscious bias, probably very familiar with that. But there's also a belief that we have a negative bias. Our predecessors, our ancestors, all talked about fear. They were always on the fear. And as a consequence, their amygdalas, they're part of their brain that cope with fear. The fight or flight part of your brain is heightened. We have this negative bias. Your ancestors have created this for you. Thank you very much. And it's there to make us look for the problem. We're always scanning the horizon for the problem. And that's fine. But there isn't a problem in the same way that it was for our ancestors. And that amygdala shuts down the prefrontal cortex. So if you're aware of that, if you know that, then you can do something about it. Then you can delay and decide. So we have these biases in our lives, and that's part of life. But the bigger point is knowing what they are, knowing yourself, and knowing how to get rid of them. So your growth mindset, Carol Dweck, I think we're all familiar with Carol Dweck's work on the fixed and growth mindset and how positivity is a huge influence. So if you have this belief, I can do this, I am confident, happy, and resilient, I can do this, that will have an effect on your neurotransmitters, on your brain, on the pathways in your brain, and you will achieve it. Sounds fantastic? But think about it. Let's do a sporting example. A cricket batsman. He's going out and he has 6 runs to win the game. Now, if he goes out and thinks, oh my word, it's all on me. The whole team are waiting for me. If I don't get these 6 runs, the team is gonna suffer. If he goes in and says, yes, I can do this, then your brain is going to work very, very hard to make sure that that happens. You focus on the possibility, not the impossibility. So Henry Ford is very, very famous for saying, whether you think you can or think you can't, that's what will happen. That is your reality. So your conscious mind isn't really aware of what's going on in your subconscious until you bring it to the forefront. So growth mindset and positivity, and it is a habit. It is something that you can create. We all know about the chaos theory, the butterfly effect. So if we consider that the butterfly in the Amazon flaps its wings and it has a causal effect in the weather in New York, it's very complicated. I don't understand it, but it goes along on that theory, that chaos theory that we use in physics and all sorts of maths and things like that. Same thing applies here. One chink, one positive belief, yes, I can do this. Imagine that that's the butterfly effect. Imagine that that's what's going to cascade and change the way that you think. So it might feel a bit lofty, and habits can be a little bit overwhelming to begin with. We do need to start with a little bit of a plan, and we need to stick to that plan. But it's the tiny implemental change. And behavioral psychologists believed that habits take a long time to create, but COVID has proved us otherwise. It doesn't take that long. So when I ask you mindfulness, meditation, haven't got time. We know where that's coming from. We know why that's there. I don't have time, but consider, delay, distract, decide. Consider the bigger picture. Consider your beliefs. Consider your values, what you want from life, and look at that statement. So mindfulness is a wonderful way to calm and reduce the stress in your body. Breathing techniques. I could talk about this all day. I've only got half an hour and I'm on the clock. Nourishment. I wanted to show you this picture. As a qualified nutritionalist, this is something that I have to hold my hands up and say, nutrition has become tribal. It's become very, very argumentative, and nutritionalists are arguing with themselves all the time. Paleo, vegan, it's all very complicated, but it doesn't need to be. I want you to go away with 2 things. Hydration. 60% of your body is water. You won't be focusing. You will find it hard to concentrate if you are not drinking enough water. The other thing I want you to consider is the majority of food, this is a big, bold statement, is marketing. Yes, of course, this drink is going to increase your vitality. Yes, you will be able to have this one powerful supplement and you will run a marathon. It's marketing. And most of the food is produced by about 12 food producers. So I just want to leave you with that. And when you say, I don't have time to cook my dinner, consider, delay, distract, decide. Consider your beliefs and values. Movement, don't have time. The hardest thing about movement and exercise is deciding what to do. So let's solve that question right here, right now. Do what excites you. Do what's fun. I'm a fitness professional, have been for a long time, and Pilates is the answer, okay? Not changing your view of anything there, but Pilates is a really good mindfulness. So you tick 2 boxes, fantastic. So when you say you don't have time, let's consider that. Could you set yourself up a little positivity challenge? Could you decide that you're going to get up at the same time every morning so you can reset your circadian rhythm? I've got a little sleep sheet I can send you if you link in with me on LinkedIn. Or how about getting outside every day? Maybe that's your positivity challenge. Or water, drinking water, or recording 3 gratitudes. I'd be interested to know. So how did you feel when you started? And how are you feeling now? If you could write those comments and any questions, please feel free to put them into the chat box and I would be delighted to answer them. That's me, Adele Stickland. I am a resilience trainer and a coach, qualified coach just recently, and that's my LinkedIn profile. What are we thinking about that? Anybody got any comments about what resiliency challenge they are going to put forward? Oh, I've gotten some private messages here which I'm not going to say, but that's brilliant. Amy is going to start Pilates. Excellent. Angela is going to loves the nourish or punish. Yes, well, that's another delay, decide, distract. It's the same principle. It's the same technique. I feel reassured that I'm managing well. Well done, Stephanie. That's superb. I'm going to start focusing on my growth mindset, says Liz. Thank you. I appreciate it. Don't think that you're on your own. There's books that you can use. There's colleagues you can use. Hannah's Facebook group. It's not something that we do well on our own. I've got to be honest. If you've got an accountability partner, I've got a friend who quotes the figures for this, and I change the figures each time. It's Hannah that does it. You're 87% more likely to stick to something if you've got an accountability partner. Good. Emma's going to start her day with water on her desk. Brilliant. Fantastic. And then you'll get your steps up because you've got to keep going to the loo. Fantastic. So it's 12:29. Any more questions? Please feel free to reach out to me. If you can on LinkedIn, that would be fantastic. I have lots of downloads that I'd like to offer. I'm trying to make this look enticing. This is your sleep checklist. It's a pretty graphic, but if you're not interested in graphics, because you're more interested in facts and figures, I've also done a written version, so you can choose. Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Julie. Brilliant, Michelle. Thank you very much. It's 85 to 95% more if you have an accountability partner. Oh, that's kind. Thanks, Liz. Thanks, Helen. Lovely, lovely that you've all joined me today. I appreciate it.